I've helped beginners land cybersecurity jobs without any experience, and I'm currently working in a security operations center that is adopting AI. Because in this video, I'm going to show you 7 ways that AI is changing the cybersecurity analyst role and how you can use it to stay ahead and land a job. And if you're worried that AI is going to automate all of the entry-level cybersecurity jobs, this video is for you. Hi, my name's AJ. I've been in cybersecurity for the last 10 years, and on this channel, I teach all things cybersecurity for beginners, so let's get into it. But then AI is changing the way that analysts will actually analyze alerts. So if you imagine a SIEM, so a SIEM stands for Security Information Event Management Tool, and it's a tool that all cybersecurity analysts are using to try and detect malicious activity. Now, if you're not sure what a SIEM is, then I'll briefly go through here. If you imagine a network, on a network you have devices which have servers, laptops, firewalls, etc. They generate logs. Those logs get sent to a SIEM like Microsoft Sentinel, which is quite a popular cloud-based SIEM. Then in that SIEM there'll be a set of correlation rules or detection rules which are looking for malicious activity in the logs from the devices. If malicious activity is detected in these logs, it'll generate an alert and send that to the analyst, you to review. And then your job then is to either escalate it as a cyber attack or work it and manage it as an incident, or you'd be closing it out as a false positive, which just means that the detection rule fired incorrectly and we would need to improve that rule. Now, this is how it's traditionally done, but what I'm seeing now is tools like D3 Security are being integrated into different parts of this process to speed up certain parts of this process. So D3, for example, can analyze some alerts for the analysts so they don't need to review every single alert, for example. They can even work to escalate some of these alerts into incidents, and they could also make suggestions on how to improve the rule if it detects a false positive. So these tools, as you can see here, D3 Security, they sit on top of a SIEM solution, and then they integrate the AI-based learning and analysis into the automation of these alerts. So as you can see here, then what they're looking to do is try and automate much of the alert analysis so that cybersecurity analysts can only focus on the interesting work. There's also Tines as well, which is a workflow automation tool, which is also being integrated into these SIEM solutions as well. So that's the big change that I'm seeing, is that SIEM, a major process and a major tool that cybersecurity analysts are using, still important to know it, still important to understand how it works, but also understand now that tools are being integrated on top of these SIEM solutions to improve the alert analysis that is being done by cybersecurity analysts. The next way that AI is changing the security operations center and the cybersecurity analyst role is through agent-based triage, and I've got written here first. So agent-based triage will be done first, and then it'll be handed over to a cybersecurity analyst to actually review it to make sure that that analysis is correct. So what I'm seeing now then is this is kind of the new hierarchy of a security operations center, where you've got a SOC manager, a AI-based team lead who's going to be managing human analysts and human engineers, and also AI agent analysts as well. So things that I'm currently working on myself as a human analyst is actually building out specific AI agents for certain tasks that I do. So I've worked with helping build out an AI agent that works as a threat hunter. So it's actually digesting threat intelligence and actually performing automated threat hunting. Email analyzer, so it's actually analyzing emails that are reported to us, providing a report on what it thinks is actually happening. So even going analyzing the link and even analyzing the attachment, and then giving a report to the analyst so that they can quickly then review what is going on and understand if this is an email that we need to action. So what this is doing is helping us actually speed up what we're doing in a security operations center, and then AI for threat intelligence as well, which I'll get more into, but ultimately is helping to gather threat intelligence and process it through threat hunting, for example. So AI agent analyst, so we're not seeing this too much in the security operations center that I'm working in, but I know this is something that companies are working on, where they want these AI agents to be able to take level 1 and level 2 decisions. So taking decisions and taking actions is something that will come, and some security operations centers are moving towards this. But again, most of what I'm seeing is just specific AI agents to perform tasks that normally a human analyst would do. And ultimately, I don't see it replacing the human analyst anytime soon, but I do see it helping to speed up the current processes that we're actually doing. And that goes the same for engineers as well, where we'll have AI agents agents for specific engineer-based tasks like monitoring for seam health checks, maybe even helping us to build detections for detection engineering as well. So this is where the kind of change from automation to AI agents. So automation was more there as a robotic process, so step by step, where AI agents are actually going to act more like junior analysts who are going to be able to read and provide context and reason across different situations. So this is where I'm seeing the new hierarchy of a security operations center moving to. Leading more into the change for detection engineering. So I mentioned that you can have an AI agent for detection engineering, and you can actually try this out yourself. So in a very simple form of how this works is that you gather threat intelligence, which is using open source information, just understand the latest attacker techniques. Then once we've got that information, we feed it into an AI tool to build detection rules for the seam of our choice. So if you imagine, so this is a threat intelligence article about a advanced persistent threat group called the Lazarus Group, and this article is talking through some of the different techniques that they actually use. And what we can actually do is go into something like ChatGPT, be able to just ask it, build seam detection use cases with rules for Microsoft Sentinel using this threat intelligence. And then what we could do then is paste this in here. What this is going to do now is actually pull out the indicators, pull out all of the techniques, and look to try and build detection rules for Microsoft Sentinel. So one thing to remember here, this is still quite a manual process, but what we can actually do is have an AI agent that will look and even scour threat intelligence resources and pull down those resources and then turn them into actual detection rules. So as you can see here then, it's pulling out all of the indicators, and now it's actually looking to build these SIEM Microsoft Sentinel detection use cases, and it's actually creating the queries for us as well. One thing I will say that it's not always the best at creating the queries. It is getting much better, but that's always something to keep in mind. But it does give a really easy way to build these use cases, which is something that an analyst used to have to do manually themselves. So as you can see here, it's building out all of the detection rules and all of the use cases for us. So this is something that is definitely very, very helpful now in a security operations center. The point 4 then is actually case note summaries. So this does sound quite basic, but it's actually very, very helpful. So when you're writing your notes about a particular alert that you're analyzing, what I will always do is write out everything that I've currently gone through. And that used to be something that I would often summarize myself, but now I can simply chuck my notes into a AI-based tool like ChatGPT, and it'll provide a clear summary for me. What we're also seeing as well is that these summaries are actually being created by the AI agent or the AI tool prior to it being analyzed by myself or another analyst. So the case summaries will provide a summary already so that we can quickly review and understand what is going on and then look to maybe take action or perform additional analysis. But again, this is something that you can try out. We've got here, provide a case note summary for my analysis as a cybersecurity analyst regarding this article. So you can see here then it's going to write up a case note summary, and something like this is something that we have to initially do ourselves manually prior to these AI-based tools. So this might sound like a simple one, but it's actually a really good one, especially if you're working or managing an incident, for example, and you want to make consistent updates, which is something you need to do when you're working as an incident responder. This is something that can be really helpful to continually make updates of the information that is currently going on during that incident. So change 5 then is AI for threat hunting. So as I just showed you, using threat intelligence to create new detection rules, you can then actually search these in your SIEM environment across the logs that you've got, and that is actively performing threat hunting using threat intelligence related to maybe the company that you're working for. If they're in the finance sector or maybe in the hospital sector, for example, you want your threat intelligence to be tailored towards that industry so you know what the latest threat actors techniques they're actually attempting, so you can actually search across them in your environment. And very much so, like we've said already, these rules here then could be used then for threat hunting. So you know you've got your security use cases. You can start to look through the logs in your Azure and Microsoft Sentinel instance to then actually perform active threat hunting. So this is something that, again, is still slightly manual, but again, AI agents are being built to actually perform this on our behalf. And there's actually a tool that is called SOC Prime, and they actually have something that they use, which is their attack detective, and it uses these built-out detection rules and AI to actually perform automated threat hunting. And again, this is a tool that companies can sign up to. They can integrate it with their SIEM, and then it will very much automate a lot of the threat intelligence and threat hunting for you. So if you're looking for a tool to look into, then this very much is one that maybe you could suggest. Where there is a free version, but it doesn't come with the attack detective. But ultimately, that is what it is doing, is pulling out the threat intelligence like we've done, creating the detection rules, and then searching it automatically across an environment. And again, these are the things that were traditionally very much done by an analyst manually. So with the integration of these AI tools, change 6 is what required from us, and that is to learn how to defend against these AI systems. Companies are integrating these AI tools, even security operations centers, even cybersecurity analysts are integrating into the company, which is all well and good. But what we are seeing is that companies aren't able to actually secure these effectively, and we as cybersecurity professionals, this is just another tool, and ultimately these tools can be compromised by attackers and by hackers. So what we need to do is learn how to defend against that. So what this is here is the MITRE attack framework, but their Atlas framework, which helps us understand how attackers are attacking these LLM and agent-based AI tools. And what this shows then is the step that an attacker will take, and then within that step is the specific technique that they will use to achieve that step. So this is the MITRE Atlas here. You can see the full framework, and what's really great about it as well, you can click into each of the techniques. It's going to explain the specific technique, and it's also going to give you mitigation actions as well, which again, this is exactly what companies want to know from you. They want to know that you're understanding how these new tools are being integrated into a security operations center and into other parts of the company, but do you know how to not only secure them, but also how to defend against them as well, and make sure that if an attacker is going to compromise one of these systems, how can we limit the impact to the data that is in that system, for example. So these are the kind of things that you need to start thinking about as a cybersecurity professional who is coming through, and especially as a beginner, because there are many cybersecurity professionals that may not stay up to date, and you could actually stand out by being somebody who could be more of a specialist at protecting these AI-based tools. Finally then, point 7, there's not much that has changed in terms of getting into cybersecurity, except what you now need to try and learn to stay ahead. So ultimately, you still want to learn your fundamentals in computer networking with something like the CompTIA Network Plus, and you also want to do your fundamentals in cybersecurity and just go and do the CompTIA Security Plus. So it's still very important to learn these fundamentals, because ultimately cybersecurity is all about protecting networks. You still need to understand how a network works and how to actually protect it. But it's also important that you learn these fundamentals before you try to learn how to defend and understand these AI tools. You then need to still learn the cybersecurity analyst job skills. So there's no point forgetting about the actual hands-on skills, because this is what companies want from you. Understanding SIEM, understanding instant response, understanding cloud, and even attack types, for example. The most common attack types out there, still your phishing, still your malware-based attacks, how to defend against these attacks, for example. But now what you need to learn is how to actually create these AI tools to perform certain SOC analyst tasks. So building an email analyzer, for example. I've got a video on this channel that shows you exactly how to do that. Also building a SIEM note summary. I've also got a video on the channel showing you that as well, where the alert comes in, it summarizes it, and then sends it out as an email to an analyst to actually review. But ultimately, if you can start to learn how to create these tools to perform certain SOC analyst tasks and cybersecurity analyst tasks, it's really going to help you stand out, because this is what companies want. They're looking for this efficiency. They're looking to see how they can integrate these AI tools into the security operations center. But ultimately, we also want to learn how to defend and protect these AI tools by using something like a MITRE Atlas framework and starting to understand how hackers are actually compromising these different tools. So to conclude then, you now know 7 ways that AI is changing the role of a cybersecurity analyst and what you can use to stay ahead. Now, if you're interested in learning more about how I got into cybersecurity without any experience, I recommend you go and watch this video next. I want to say thank you for watching. I'll see you over there.